Hello and welcome to the Villa Views post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. Oh, I mean, Dan, you sighed just as we came on air or just before, and I think that summed it up absolutely perfectly because that was tough to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty unpleasant throughout. The only good bit being obviously when we went 1-0 up completely against the run of play. But I was seeing the possession stats flash up during the game at one point. I mean, I don't even know if it got better than this, to be honest. It may well have got worse. At one point, we were at 16% in the second half, and I just thought that isn't going to win you a football match. When you're at the bottom, whether you're playing Chelsea or you're playing Charlton Athletic, 16% possession isn't going to do anything for you. And I think we needed to win today to give us a bit of a boost and a bit of momentum. Obviously, we need to win as many games as possible, but we concede one and we just have to concede another one straight after. It was like being back pre-COVID. You let in one and you just have to concentrate for 5 minutes and make sure you don't ship another one. But we just seem completely incapable of doing things like that. And they're not great goals, are they? I mean, the cross that came in for the first, I think it was Azpilicueta. He's got all the time in the world to whip a ball in, and you know he's got a good delivery and it evades most people. But then Pulisic is on his own at the back stick. We just weren't good. We're isolating our best player, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. He just looked pretty clueless, didn't he? Let's be fair.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, thank you for joining the post-match pint. This is where we dissect. We try and dissect the game as best we can, and we get you guys on. We get the comments read out. We have a drink because I think right now we need the drinks. But yeah, going back to that Pulisic goal, Dan, I mean, he drifts in at the back post. Nobody's marking him. I think Conce has already had to come in to cover another guy, and Pulisic is just completely on his own. And then the second goal, they just drift through us like we're not there. You know, Giroud's got time to turn. It takes a deflection, but I don't think it matters because he's scoring from there. He likes a goal against Villa, does Giroud?
Oh man, doesn't everyone?
Yeah. And it just, I mean, going back to the start of the game, you know, first 20 minutes, we barely touched the ball. Like you say, the possession stats were dreadful. We looked like we might get into it a little bit, and where El Ghazi has a chance. We have a couple of snapshots. McGinn could do potentially better with that header. But we get the goal on the counter attack just before half time, and you think with the goal that wasn't last week and a goal just before half time, has Villa's luck completely changed? No, it hasn't.
But it doesn't come down to luck, does it? We didn't lose today because we were unlucky. We lost because we didn't really throw a punch, and that's disappointing. I mean, you could argue that the first half game plan was executed pretty well by the fact that we soaked up the pressure. Well, it wasn't pretty on the eye, and then we got the goal. So really, that was what Dean Smith wanted in the first half, wasn't it? I think you could say, and we're all, because we've scored, we're all pretty happy going into half time. Although we have to all agree that it's a pretty uncomfortable watch. But when you ship 2 goals in close succession, no disrespect to Nakamba, but we're 2-1 down. I don't really want to say our most defensive midfielder. Come on, in all honesty, and I know he's Dean Smith's hamstring a little bit with the options on the bench. You look at days like today, and you just think the summer was an absolute disaster. If I'm being perfectly honest, we've got the summer badly wrong. There's nothing he can do to change it really that dramatically. You bring on Trezeguet for El Ghazi. I don't remember El Ghazi touching the ball. I don't particularly remember Trezeguet touching the ball either. It's just no good, is it? Davies was so far detached from the rest of the team in the first half. It was the impossible job for him. It's just there isn't many positives to take other than we haven't been battered.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the substitutions, I just saw a comment flash up from Craig Ashington, who said, "Why didn't we go 2 up top?" And that's something that we talked about last week. You know, there was a close game, and we didn't want to. Maybe Dean Smith didn't want to change the formation. But here, when nothing's going right, and Davis hasn't touched the ball, Samatta barely touches the ball. Like, why not move into something slightly different? You know, if you're 2-1 down and you don't look like you're getting anything, you've got nothing to lose. And like you say, you're bringing on Nakamba, who's primarily a defensive midfielder. And why not throw a bit of caution to the wind? Give us 2. I'd rather lose 3 or 4-1. It's the same as losing 2-1. You know, we're so far behind in goal difference anyway. Might as well go for it and see what it's like in a bit of a a bit of a gamble there. That was the time to try it out.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Connor was having a good game because, to be honest, not really anyone was. But you'd rather have him on the pitch than the camber when you're losing a game. It's, like, that to me is quite simple. And you're saying about going 2 up front, though. Dean Smith looks at his bench and he's got Vasilev, who's an untried kid. He's got Borja Baston, who I think we found down the back of the sofa on deadline day, like down Suso's sofa. Like he didn't really want Borja Baston, did he? He just got given him. It's just as I say, the summer hasn't worked.
Well, don't we talk? We will criticise Bruce for this, and he had his set substitutions, and they do the same thing every time. We're seeing the same from Smith, and we've got to be honest here and critique it fairly. And I'm really disappointed in how Smith can't seemingly get players up for games, and because he himself, Smith, has talked about it being a cup final every game. We've seen big games where we've just looked disappointing and a bit flat, and you rightly highlighted the Burnley game last week as a kind of, he did something surprising. It caught Burnley off guard, and we got a good result from it. I just haven't seen very much of that. It's not, even like, let's compare it to Norwich. At least forget on Friday night, because that was dreadful. But generally, Norwich have gave everything a go, and I think from Norwich fans' point of view, they've given it their best, and they've seen at least some attempts at playing attacking football. It just feels a bit disappointing here, and I hate limping. I'd hate us to limp out of the Premier League. There wasn't a question.
I get what you're saying about Steve Bruce, and no, I'm saying, I'm just thinking back to what you were saying about Steve Bruce. I think the argument with Steve Bruce was, at that level in the Championship, we knew he had the players and the talent. I don't think Dean Smith got the same luxury. In all honesty, you look at that bench. You've got 9 subs. Would you really have looked around and thought he's going to come on and change the game? I don't think he's got enough options. I'm not saying the style of play was brilliant today, because it wasn't. As I say, it worked to an extent in the first half, but the second half, when you're 2-1 down, we have done nothing, which isn't really acceptable. And I'll hold my hands up and say that's not acceptable myself. But he ain't got anything to bring on. Hotter came on and obviously went close. He swapped Samatta for Davies, which I'm sure was a planned change, whatever the score was.
It was early,
there just isn't enough there. And like you say, Sheffield United suddenly doesn't look like it was a good point now, because they've been hammered by Newcastle today. But you know what? I think I saw something in that performance to build on. We quite simply did not build on it today. You aren't going to win games with 16% possession in the second half when you're behind. It's just, you're not going to. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned it at the top of the show. Jack Grealish was just, again, another isolated player today. He cut a frustrated figure, particularly at the end. He got booked and he was just out on the right. It didn't seem to make any sense. Obviously, he was involved in the goal slightly by laying it off to Luiz. But other than that, I didn't really see very much from him. Won a couple of good free kicks, but that was it.
I just think, and I'm coming on here, I'm obviously very upset and I'm being very negative, but I think if ever you wanted a reason why Jack Grealish won't be here next season, watch that 90 minutes back, because he's watching players play for England who he's better than. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute Mount, Maddison aren't good players, because they are, but Grealish is better than them. But he's playing right back in that first half. I'm not sure what is going on for him to even be on the right-hand side, because I think it isolates him. He's not going to get in the game, because he can't drift in from the right. At least from the left, he can drift in. But he's a Villa fan. He loves Villa. I'm sure he doesn't want to leave, but he isn't going to achieve what he can achieve in his career staying at Villa, because we are light years away from where Jack Grealish needs to be. And watch that 90 minutes back and tell me if you think I'm wrong. But that is an advert as to why he won't be here next season.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the start of these rejuvenated podcasts and whatnot that we were doing here, you kind of mentioned that it wasn't a must win, or not every game is a must win. How do you feel now that we're down to 8 games? We're on the same level as everyone else. We're still not a million miles away from safety. No, it doesn't look like we're playing particularly safely either.
It needs something to turn. It needs something to change. Now, I don't have the answer to what that is, but for a start, we need to start having a bit more of a go. We can't points on Wednesday now and 0 points today. It's not going to keep us up. We have to go there and play Newcastle, who obviously are going to be buoyed now by a win today. We have to play them. We have to go there and win. We've got to, but Steve Bruce would be licking his lips. In all honesty, watching that back, it would just be typical Villa that he lays another blow on us. Today just was no good.
Danielius Domiskius. I had to pick the toughest name there, didn't I?
Wasn't what you needed.
It really wasn't what I needed. Are we down if we lose to Newcastle? What do you think?
While it's mathematically possible, you're not down. As we saw last season, things can change very fast, and I thought it was impossible that we were going to go up, and then we won 10 games in a row. Nowadays, I'd take 10 passes in a row because I don't think we achieved that today. I mean, it's not impossible, and you say we're not cut adrift there at all, are we? We're pretty close to the teams around us. Results other than Brighton weren't too bad at the weekend, but like you said, I can't remember which show it was you said it in. You got to win a game sooner or later. It's no good just saying, "Oh, well, we're still in touch. We're still in touch. We haven't won that one. We haven't won this one. We need to win a game. We haven't won for 7 games now. A lot of games.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah, teams that don't win for 7 games will probably go down.
I saw a comment on Twitter earlier. Forgive me if you're watching and you made this astute observation, and I can't credit you. But there was a guy that highlighted the fact that how many times we conceded twice in a matter of minutes. You know, it's happened against a lot of the big teams, Spurs, Liverpool today. A few of those off the top of my head. It's killing us, the fact that we switch off and just let things slip away from us. We can't just get tight, reorganise, keep the ball for 5-10 minutes and be comfortable on it.
I mean, it's probably happened against a few poor teams as well that we can't remember. Watford away, I feel like we conceded a few goals in a row there. There's probably been other ones as well. Pretty much this season, if you name any bad trait, we're probably top of the list, aren't we? Most bad traits we've had this season, and if we do go, it'll be because we deserved to go down. We haven't done enough, and the annoying thing is, I don't think it's a massively strong Premier League down the bottom this year. It would have just taken a bit of smarter business in the summer to get this right, and we didn't do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm seeing in the comments more times than I've ever seen before. Smith out, Suso out, which I think a lot of people would agree with. What do you make of the Smith out comments?
I think he's hamstrung. I'm not going to sit here and pan Dean Smith, although I will say I don't think the tactics were brilliant today, and there's been other occasions where I don't think they've been great either. I simply think he's let down in the summer and he's hamstrung.
Yeah. If we go down, he's still the right man to carry on?
Well, he's proved there's no one better to get us up, because we weren't going up until he entered the arena, were we?
No, it was a pretty drab start to the season, that one. I don't know what to make of it anymore. I feel more disappointed in Smith now than I ever have done. I kind of agree with you that I don't know what anybody else could do apart from maybe somebody, and this isn't an endorsement, but somebody that's proven to give teams a bit of a bounce. Someone like Sam Allardyce. Again, not necessarily an endorsement here, but he is kind of famed for being able to take teams and lift them in a short space of time. I just can't see how Villa are going to stay up in the current setup.
No, because you can't see where a win's coming from, can you?
Yeah.
Now, after 2 games back, after 3 or 4 days of the football starting again, you can't see where the wind's coming from. It's not good, is it?
It's not good at all. All right, we're going to get our first guest in tonight, a guy that we're both good pals with and we've had a few drinks with, not least in the Box Park, one of my favourite venues in London. Ty Bracey, welcome to the Villa View post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. Ty, can we see you? Can we hear you? I saw him wave for like a second. There he is. Ty, can you hear us? Oh, wow.
Been better, to be honest.
Ty, talk to us. What did you make of that game? Where did it all go wrong? Let us know.
It's not Dean Smith football, though, is it, Ty? We know how Dean Smith likes to play because we fell victim to it a few times against Brentford. We are not seeing the kind of football that Dean Smith wants to play. Where do you sit with Dean? No.
Ty, I'm going to have to cut you off here, Ty. I think we've got some sort of audio/visual issue. I don't know if you can let me know in the comments whether you can hear me or see me. Something went wrong.
It's been a good day, hasn't it?
Yes, this kind of fits, to be honest. Can't hear anything. Is Dan just pretending to talk to someone?
Excellent.
I'm not sure if we've got an issue here.
I'll check. That's just my phone.
Okay, we can. I think what I'm getting from the comments is that we can be heard and be seen, but Ty couldn't. So we'll try and get Ty on either later this episode or on a future one. Okay. So that was a bit sad. We've got our next guest coming up. So maybe if you take straight and put in our guest, Dan, you can introduce our guest, who I don't want to speak to anyway, quite frankly.
I mean, I'm going to guess it's Tubes because I've got absolutely no idea who's coming on next time because I'm not looking at anything. But yeah, obviously someone everyone will know well from Soccer AM, a staple of Saturday mornings. At one point, I thought I was going to be able to speak to him with a smile on my face, but that's not going to be able to happen now. So yeah, hopefully Tubes will pop up on the screen in a minute. Oh, no. At the moment, it's just Tom.
Which, I mean, it's not a downgrade. Let's say. Although Tubes is a better golfer than me, it would appear. I was watching some of his YouTube videos earlier, and he's a lot better. I think
I've seen him as well.
After this season, I may have to give up with the Villa and start playing golf instead. Because
I mean, there's more fun things to be getting on with in life, in all honesty, isn't there?
Yeah. Does it ever make you think, like you watch a game like today? Do you ever kind of consider your season ticket and go, all the time that you put in, all the money that you put in, what am I doing here?
I occasionally examine the life choice because there's not many things you pay for that you don't at times, or a lot of times, don't enjoy, is there? But the fact is, I've been doing it since I was 7 and I've got to 34, so I'll probably never change now.
Yeah.
So you just hope that one day all this torment will be worth it, don't you? And that you'll have something to sing about. Well, don't get me wrong, we've had some nice times in the last few years, but certainly over the last decade, it's been more miserable than it has fun.
Few people in the comments to take it back to today's game talking about this weekend's action. Neil Maupay looked good yesterday, and a few people saying should have got him in. Do you think that was a case of Villa just not doing enough or not offering enough, or was it out of Villa's hands?
From what I understand, with many of the signings in the summer, and to be fair, I don't think this includes Wesley. I just think Dean Smith identified a player that he wanted, that he was told they were too expensive, and we ended up with a Suso alternative, and some of the alternatives haven't been that brilliant, have they? I think that's what's happened. I mean, we spent 25 million on Wesley. To be fair, I think Maupay was £5 million cheaper. So if we had identified Maupay as the number one target, you presume it would have been him that came in, wouldn't you? Yeah, you would. And do you think? I mean, it's kind of impossible to say now, but a striker firing on all cylinders, playing with confidence, looking sharp.
I mean, we still need to get the ball to them.
Yeah, I don't think it would have made a difference today. Me or you could have been up front today, and we probably wouldn't have been any less effective because we wouldn't have got the ball either.
I just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about today. It's just tough watching. Tough. I think the whole team, the whole squad, the whole club needs to take a look at itself and see where we're going. Because after today, it was very, very bleak. Yeah,
I mean, I would say, other people might not agree with this. I would say that I'm pretty positive generally as a Villa fan. Like I went in today stupidly, fancying us. I thought we might cause an upset today, and at half time, as I say, 1-0 up. That didn't look like it was impossible. But I feel a bit broken by the second. I'm just fed up of conceding a goal and then conceding another one straight away, in all honesty. Just fix up further. You've let in a goal. Just regroup and make sure you don't do it again. You're going to concede goals. Okay, we're down the bottom, so you will ship goals. But then just play sensibly for 5 minutes. We'll try and keep the ball a little bit. I mean, you get the ball from kickoff. I can't even remember back, but we probably, within 20 seconds of kickoff, didn't have the ball. I'm going to guess. We just don't do the basics well enough. At times, when you don't do the basics, you're going to struggle to do the hard things in football, and that's what's happening to us.
Yeah, right. We're going to take a short ad break. We're going to refresh and try and get our next guest on. So bear with us, 1 or 2 little ads, and then we'll be back.